in. Great morning. So happy to be with you all today. Our topic is on morning routine, and this is such a separating factor. So before we really dive into the worksheet and the process of all of this, I'm really curious. I've got two questions for everybody. One, and I'll put this in the chat just so we don't forget. It's pretty easy. What is your favorite morning routine? Like, what is one thing that you absolutely cherish that you currently do? You wouldn't trade it for anything. So feel free to either shoot that in the chat or just verbalize it.
Coffee.
Coffee. Who else loves their morning coffee? That's a big one. That's a big one. Bob, what about? Go ahead.
I do some Bible reading of some kind every single morning, and then at least like a paragraph in my journal. That's like one of my non-negotiables, and it's 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I saw that you got that morning workout in the other day. Awesome. So, Bob, what about you? What is one thing that you love about your morning routine, and what's one thing that you would like to stop?
Oh, it might be the same thing. Eating breakfast.
That's your favorite part or your least favorite part?
Yeah, it's a favorite part.
Okay.
And it's a thing I might need to cut out. Just joking about that. But no, I'm serious. My morning routine is very important to me. What I do in the morning sets me up for the entire day. So I love my morning routine. It varies. I wish I was. This is great because I was thinking about it. I set aside for about an hour and a half, 2 hours every morning to just do me.
Mm-hmm.
But it's never consistent. Like it isn't always exercise. It isn't always reading. It isn't always meditation. It isn't always something. It's something. It's one of those three, and they vary with season. So I was thinking about it. I was just thinking about it just this morning that I was just before this. I can't believe it. I didn't even know this was the topic. But I say to Jay, let's solidify our morning routine and do the same thing every day, but make it productive.
Love it.
So that I feel that getting things done, I love to get things done. First thing in the morning just sets me up for the rest of the day. 100%. Then by 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I feel like I'm done. Like that's really my time because I've done everything. I don't leave it until the end of the day. So but the thing that I can't do without seriously is breakfast. We sit there, we have breakfast, we look out the window, and it is beautiful. That we do every day.
Love it. Does anybody here fast, by the way? Ooh. What's your schedule, Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like for a while I put this like kind of like guard up, like if I ate something, I'm a bad person type of thing in the morning after I was doing it. So like I've like tackled that down now to where I kind of feel like I want to eat. So now that I'm in Austin, I'm like, I guess like an hour back from New York kind of thing. So, but anyways, probably like 12:31 is usually when I break it. I just have coffee pretty much is the only thing I have until about 1 or so. But yeah, I just think like not putting pressure if you're like a little hungry though at 11. Like, I feel like I did that and it is what it is. But how about you?
I got neurotic.
Yeah, I'm like, oh my God, I'm such a dick. Like, fuck, But anyways, sorry to go on a rant.
No, that's awesome, man. So, and then basically what we're doing, and I know some people didn't see this, but we're going around the room and just saying, what is one of your favorite morning routines right now? Or what is something that you need to stop in your morning routine? Ashley?
How are you going to call me out like that?
You're not the first person.
No, I'm just joking. No, I need to stop snoozing my alarm. That's the reason I'm mad that you called me out, because I know it's something I need to stop doing.
Love it. Hey, we've all been there. You're not the only one. Jack, how about you? What's something that you really enjoy about your morning routine, or what's something you need to stop?
Yeah, I guess I'll do both. I love just sitting and having coffee with my girlfriend for like a half hour, just sitting there and just enjoying slowness of the morning, something about it is just magical to me. And then something I need to stop. I think like I know this, but I do anyways, checking my phone in the morning. It's not good. It's not good to get into a negative loophole right away. So it's something I want to get better at.
Does anybody else do that? Check your phone as soon as you wake up,
Bitch,
and then you get caught in the rabbit hole. And the
I
next thing you know,
did.
30 minutes went by.
Yeah,
Dude, I've started playing with airplane mode, where like I put my phone on airplane mode around 9 o'clock in the evening, and then I don't turn it back on until 8 o'clock in the morning, kind of thing. I've been playing with it, Jack.
I like it, Brendan. I'm definitely gonna be following you about that. Thank you.
Awesome stuff, guys. All right, so Matt, and then we'll go to Steve. So Matt, what's one thing that you love about your morning routine, or what's one thing you need to stop in the morning routine?
I don't like mornings. I mean, I think I was a vampire in a former life. It's a good thing Halloween's coming up. So, I mean, the fact that I get my ass up is a fucking miracle. Seriously, I am not a morning person at all. With IT, my schedule's very erratic. And like last night, I didn't go to bed till 2, not because I was like, fooling around and having a good time, because I just swamped either with work or with homework. And, I'm going away this on Friday. So I'm trying to prep my new laptop to go what's going on. So I'm my own worst enemy in that respect. And if I get to me, a good morning, this is pretty sad to say this. To me, if I can get up and get to my meetups and not be late, that to me is a good morning. And so if I don't have work in the morning and I get up early, like if I can do some burpees or I can go out for breakfast and then just enjoy it, where there isn't some, Soundgarden moment where it's a burden in my hand, at that point I'll sit there and, enjoy like going out for breakfast and, getting eggs or something like that. So where I don't have the onus of work, it's something else, and that will allow me to enjoy it. I've been trying to be a better morning person. The Jewish guilt has been, having a Fuji's moment and killing me slowly. So I am still working on that and trying to get, better situated. I tend to find that because I've been working out more, I have more energy. And so getting up in the morning is not as difficult as it used to be because of that reason alone. So it's still definitely much a work in progress for me.
That's huge. I quoted you as your favorite part is getting eggs. I'm just kidding, but love it, man. Love it. And so, yeah, we'll touch on that. Steve, how about you, my friend? What is one of your favorite morning routines, or what's something you need to stop in the morning routine?
Like Ashley said, things I need to stop are definitely the snooze button. I wear that thing out. But favorites would be waking up early and hitting the gym. That just seems to start the day off so much better and more productive. But it's just an extra hour or two early. Well, hour and a half, 2 hours early to do that.
Yeah.
But it's always worth it when you make it happen. Just the toughest part's getting there.
Yeah, I hear you. By the way, real quick on this note, because I don't think the two of you have been in the room together, Jack and Steve, I think you guys would have a really awesome conversation. Jack is a LO and Steve is a financial advisor. So if you guys can connect in the chat, I think you would have some awesome opportunities there. So just want to throw that out there. But
Excellent. Thank you.
of course. All right, guys. So let's really shift into this. And I want to share a couple things with you that are super interesting to me. So a lot of people mention the gym component. One thing that I've learned firsthand is that if you, and especially in a bigger city like Chicago, New York, Austin, if you're in a bigger city, this is absolutely true. You can go test this tomorrow. If you go to the gym at 5 a.m. versus going at 8 or 9 in the morning or even 5 p.m., what do you think is one of the biggest differences between that 5 a.m. slot and let's just say that 5 p.m. slot? What do you think is one of the biggest differences that you'll find?
People are there to actually do the work at 5 a.m.
Anybody else? That's true.
I just think you're going to see a certain type of person at 5 versus a person at 9. Nothing wrong against either. I just think you're probably going to see someone that maybe prioritizes like getting things done or the hardest thing done first in the morning, as you said earlier today.
100%. So, anybody, any other thoughts here? So I'll share
Just that
this
I
with
think,
you. Go ahead.
oh, that there's less socializing at 5 in the morning.
It's true.
They to do it, get it done, and that's it.
Focus, right? This is true. And I started to actually record this because I thought it was super interesting. If you, and this was conducted in various parts of North Carolina. I literally did this in Chicago, literally did this in New York, did this in Hawaii, did this all over the place. What you'll find at 5 a.m. is the net worth is dramatically higher than any other time of the day. In the parking lot, you look at that parking lot at 5 a.m., you see millions and dollars worth of vehicles. Did you know that the average millionaire wakes up at 4 a.m.? The average millionaire wakes up at 4 a.m. And so here's the thing. You may or may not want to be a millionaire. That's fine. But I think about people like Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so when Arnold Schwarzenegger was young, he was growing up, this was right after World War II. His economy, his culture was impoverished. There was a lot of alcoholism. People were coping with the war. It was not the greatest environment. And so Arnold Schwarzenegger started training at a very young age. He won his first competition at 15 years old. Okay, just so you know, the average bodybuilder takes at least a minimum of 10 years to be on stage competitions. Crazy. But the point is that when we focus in that early morning, not only is the net worth higher, these people are more focused. These people are more driven. And when we think about somebody like Arnold Schwarzenegger, he was in this country, in this culture, in this community that was run down. There wasn't a lot of opportunity. There wasn't a lot of hope, but he emulated Reg Park. Now, Reg Park was a bodybuilder, and Reg Park lifted and then became an actor. My point is that oftentimes we don't believe we can do something, although we see hundreds of other people doing it. If you know somebody else can do it, you can do it too. In Arnold Schwarzenegger's scenario, he saw Reg Park do it, so he knew it was possible. All he had to do was emulate the lifestyle. That's what we're talking about here. So when we dive into this routine here, and I really love this quote. Ashley, I got you on the John C. Maxwell today. You'll never change your life until you change something you do daily. The secret of your success is found in your daily routine. Here's what I find. And Jack, I know that we just touched on this in your group this morning. Jack has an awesome networking group, by the way, guys. I highly recommend checking it out. But we touched on this in your group this morning is the routine. And so what we find is that every person in this group has different family dynamics. They have different work dynamics, all of these things. But at the end of the day, what ultimately it comes down to, every person has someone or something that relies on you. That's just the way it is, right? Whether it's your partner, whether it's your career, whatever it is, somebody or something is relying on you. And so before we start our day, before we have all of these responsibilities and tasks and things that we must get done, we have to protect our morning routine. Everybody on this group said some form of, when I do this or this, my day is tremendously better. Well, if you knew that working out every morning is going to make your day tremendously better, why are you not doing it every day? That's what it comes down to. So I'm super curious, and you can just shout this out, but if you had to rate your current morning routine, 1 being absolutely awful, never get anything done, barely wake up, and then 10 being absolutely perfect, I'm up on the dot even before my alarm clock, I hit all of these categories, where would you rate yourself right now?
7.
A 7. Matt, what about you?
I'd be a 2.
Okay, Bob?
Definitely a 7. I do get up on the dot. I get up at the same time, and like I said, I do have a morning routine. It just isn't consistent. So if I did the same thing that was only productive things, then I think it would be an 8, 9, or 10.
Let's go. Jack?
I say 7 as well. I can do a little better and be more consistent, but I do get on up and do stuff early.
Let's go. Ashley?
I'm gonna say 5 currently.
Okay. And Steve?
Probably 4 to 5 range. I'm a night owl. That's when I get it done.
Okay, awesome. So basically what we all have here, all of us, myself included, we all have area for opportunity, right? An opportunity for growth, for improvement, for adjusting something. Now, here's the thing, and we talked about this in different lights, but my thought here is that there are 2 different psychologies to tackle this. Okay. The 2 different psychologies are, one, you start with the smallest, the other, you start with the most difficult. Here's what I'm talking about. If we all have an area for opportunity in our morning routine, you can either start small and focus on just one little thing. Brennan gave an awesome example on this. If your difficulty is on the phone, spending time on surfing the web or social media or whatever it is, as soon as you wake up, well, just set that as a goal. Can I avoid that time for the next week? By the way, there are a lot of super easy ways to do this. For example, you could easily set your phone up on the opposite side of the room. That way you're forced to stand up and go get it. Once you're already up, you're not going to lay back down, or at least you shouldn't, right? So that's one of the things. Now, the other thought here, and again, that was to start with the smaller things, the smaller tasks, something little that we can adjust. The other side would be something really significant. And so an example of this is, well, look, if you never work out in the morning, a significant change would be to start protecting that workout time in the morning. So any thoughts or questions so far, guys? Okay, cool. So when we look at this, we all have addressed, hey, look, we all have an area to improve here. So instead of trying to tackle all 4 of these things, I just simply ask that everybody on here just circles the one that could use the most development, or the one that you want to start with. Just one. You don't need to take all 4 of these. Just pick one. So for instance, and I'm not picking on anybody here, but just based on the conversation, Matt said, hey, look, I don't really like the mornings. I'm not a morning person. No big deal. For you, that might be a good opportunity to focus on the wake up time. Don't start with all these other ones. Just focus on wake up time. So for example, you could start your alarm 15 minutes earlier. Do that for a week. Set the phone across the room so you're forced to wake up and go turn it off, and then you start your day. That's one example. Are there any other good examples that you guys have tried or tested or would like to test here for waking up earlier?
Well, the one thing that's worked for me on that and waking up consistently on time is getting to bed on time. And by that, I mean, I have found out, and I was not a proponent of this at all, sleeping 8 hours. Sleeping 8 hours has changed my life. I used to be like 3 hours, 4 hours. I'm fine. I can do it. And I did that for years. But recently, like in the past 2 or 3 years, 8 hours. So if I want to get up at 5, I make sure I go to sleep 9 o'clock. If I want to get up at 6, I go to sleep 10 o'clock. I have to get 8 hours. And that's when I can know I can wake up. So it really starts the night before to wake up, is making sure that I get 8 hours of sleep.
Absolutely. Now, this brings up a really big point too, Bob, because what you'll notice is that everything is integrated or connected in some way, right? So when we talk about going to sleep earlier, what holds most people up here? Does anybody else have difficulty going to bed early? Brandon's like, nope, pass out right away. So yeah, this is a great point. And again, I think that back to Bob's is, it's not just about the wake up time. You got to consider every other exterior motive that is affecting this. So going to sleep on time. Another one, I'll tell it to you like this. I have this friend, and this individual, he's like, man, I can't ever sleep well. And I'm like, okay, talk to me about your routine. What does your day-to-day look like? And he's like, oh, well, like I'll eat and it's never the same time. I eat super late dinners. So he's like, sometimes I'll smoke weed at night. Sometimes I'll drink alcohol. I'll smoke tobacco. You do all these things, and then you sit there wondering why you're not sleeping well. Well, because you're putting these adulterants into your body, an hour, 2 hours before you go to bed, and then your circadian rhythm's all messed up. So just as important as the wake up time is, what about the night before? What are the things that you're doing prior that are preventing you from having a productive day? Are you allocating your time efficiently? In other words, are you putting yourselves in positions where we look at the day and we're like, yeah, I worked a 12-hour day, but you look at the actual results and they're minimal. We talked about that focus being a differentiating factor for the people that are working out early in the morning versus late at night. No right or wrong, but that focus is what allows you to get the better results. Are you focused throughout your day and cutting off at a certain time, which allows you to wake up, prepare the next day consistently? That's a big one. So that wake up time, and everybody probably has an opportunity here. My train of thought is for sustainability's sake, to start small. For example, if you're waking up at 8 right now, you may wake up 15 minutes earlier and do that for a week. And then the next week, 15 minutes earlier, and so on and so forth until you get to that comfortable place.
Keegan, I just thought of something else. It's what you asked us at the very beginning. What is the thing that you really enjoy about the morning? And if I think about that, and that's what jumps me out of bed, right? So so I don't know. I'm rethinking now. What is the most favorite thing that I want to do in the morning? What's the thing that I absolutely want to do every day for the rest of my life? And that motivates me to get up out of bed, right? So whatever that's going to be is going to be the thing to motivate me to get out of bed. Yeah, I may have slept 8 hours, but what's going to get me out of the bed is, whoa, I get to have breakfast. I get to eat that egg. I get to go to the gym and be with all the millionaires. Whatever it is, that's the thing that I've got to be looking forward to actually get me out of bed.
You're so right, Bob. And again, this brings back the point that all humans are operating on pain or pleasure. We're either avoiding some form of pain or we're seeking some form of pleasure. And so this brings up an incredible point, Bob, is that when we wake up, if you focus on the pleasure side, if you focus on what you're excited about and what gets you invigorated, then you're more inclined to get up and get out of bed right away, right? You want to get that day started. So when I think about it like that, let's use the gym as an example. Well, if you wake up in the morning and you're like, well, man, I don't want to go to the gym today. But then you think about that pleasure side. Well, why are you going to the gym in the first place? Well, I'm going to the gym because I will live longer. Maybe it's sex appeal. Maybe it's part of your career. Maybe it allows you to be a better parent, right? Because you have strength through your children. I don't know what it is, but tie waking up to something that invigorates you and tie that to the pleasure you gain from it. Or you can use the pain as an element. If I don't do this, I'm going to feel that pain of regret. I'm going to look in the mirror next summer and not be proud of what I see. I won't want to go on the beach and maybe I'll miss beach opportunities, right? Like you can leverage both of these. It's either to avoid one outcome or to seek that outcome. In my experience, both are really powerful. It just depends on where you are.
Well, I do like this. It just helped me out with just a bit because I don't like delayed gratification. I do love pleasure. So when I think about going to the gym, I want something that is going to be almost immediate for me to get up and go to the gym other than working out. I don't know what that is yet. Maybe it's seeing the sunrise. Maybe it is smelling the fresh air. Whatever it is, I need to also have some sort of immediate pleasure in doing it. Maybe it is stopping off and getting a cup of coffee before going to the gym or doing something that gets me going. It's not the gym itself. Of course, I want the sexy body, but that's going to be weeks from now. I need something right now, pleasurable, to get me up out of bed to go to the gym. That's what I'm thinking.
Well, I mean, you bring up another great point, Bob, is the fact that, look, when we analyze this whole concept, it is, how are we measuring this? For example, something like the gym, yeah, you don't get immediate gratification, right? You could go to the gym for a week every single day, and at the end of the week, you're not going to be drastically different. And so then you might look in the mirror and go, well, I tried, I give up. It's about that discipline of showing up consistently. And so even if we don't see the immediate results, the measurability comes into play because, for example, I have all of these behind me right now. You can ask me what I was lifting in 2015 on a specific exercise, and I can tell you exactly what it was. Well, if I look at that to now, that's the gratification that I gain, right? It's that, okay, I've been able to increase or improve or progress forward. So I think that that's another element to it. Oh, I missed this. So I want to read this. Brennan said, Einstein said, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. To change, you got to change. So true. So true. Yeah, again, it's all hard. Choose your hard. And so we talked about this before, is that you have two forms of pain. You either have the pain of regret or the pain of discipline. One weighs regret weighs tons, and discipline weighs ounces. Do you commit to the discipline each day on a small scale, or do you let it build up, and then one day a catastrophe occurs, and now you have all this regret in front of you? So talk to me, guys, on the personal development side. What stands out to you here? What are some things that you enjoy doing in your morning routine for personally developing your skill sets? Well, this is an example, right? Jack has an incredible group. That's an example. That's a community where we come together to develop or enhance our skill set in some form or capacity, whether it's perspective, whether it's your speaking ability. I'm not sure what it is, but being in a group like this helps you to personally develop. What are some other good examples?
I'll give an example of something that I did about 2 years ago that completely changed my life. I'm not saying I'm going to recommend it for everybody. And it's definitely personal, very personal development. So I got up, and for the first 2 hours, I did nothing. No phones, no books, no journaling, no nothing. Try that for a while. I mean, I did it up to 2 hours. It was up to 2 hours, but just try sitting there with yourself and nothing else. It's pure personal development, and see what comes up. What comes up in your mind? What do you see? What do you observe? All of a sudden, I never, I live in the city. I never knew birds existed. I didn't even know they talk in the morning. And that's what I heard. And I became much more observant of the world around me. So sitting there, and I literally did this for months, maybe 2 or 3 months, every day, nothing. And I mean nothing, no phone, no nothing. Just me. It was personal development.
On that note, and this is just simply my opinion, but whenever there's a form of anxiety in our life, it's because we're fearing something of the future, what could or could not happen. Whenever we experience depression in our life, it's some form of something that occurred in the past that we're holding on to. And so, to Bob's point, when you sit in that silence, in that isolation with your thoughts alone, what you're doing is you are removing the anxiety or the depression. You are forgetting the past or the future, and you're pulling yourself into the present. So if you ever find yourself in a moment where you feel increased angst or you're feeling super, super negative, this is a great way to pull yourself back into the moment. And another element that you referenced there was the birds chirping, right? And that's the nature element. And so for me personally, I love the nature component to resetting, because nature's always in the present. It's never in the past or in the future. It's always in the right now. So yeah, that is a personal development technique. And it's not quite the same as meditation, but it parallels that spiritual realm as well. Again, seeing how all of these things are connected together. I'm sorry, was somebody saying something? Oh, okay, cool. So the personal development side, a couple other tickets or nuggets here would be reading, audio tapes, circles of influence, seminars, webinars, master classes, courses. These are all examples of personal development. By the way, they even have apps out there now that you can hop onto your phone and spend 1 to 5 minutes in the morning to plan or track your day. Boom, that's personal development, journaling. All of these things are personal development. And so what you have to realize is you are developing your skill set. This is directly related to your relationships and your income. How? If you are in any workforce, when you have more value that you bring to the workplace, you are paid more. You increase your value by developing your skill set. Okay. You develop your skill set through audio, visual, right? The audio tapes, reading, all the things we just listed. And so, by the way, personally, to personally develop yourself, this doesn't require 5 hours every morning. You can do this in 5 minutes, but you have to intentionally set that time aside. And if you do this, even if it's for only 2 or 5 minutes a day, you do this every day. Think about all the knowledge you just gained over a month. Again, I shared this in Jack's group this morning, but this is always so astonishing to me. If you travel for 30 minutes every day for work, just for work, that's not including weekends. If you traveled every day for work, 30 minutes, and you just listen to one piece of audio or you listen to one bit of information, did you know that after 1 year, you would have the equivalent of an entire college course under your belt? That's baffling to me. Meanwhile, people are going out there spending $10,000 at a college course to learn this. You can download Audible for free and learn the same thing by just dedicating the time every day. So why would we not do this? And by simply shifting, listening to music, even if it's only 5 minutes, and instead listening to something productive, you're personally developing your skill set, which enhances your relationships and leads to more potential income. Health. Everyone said a form of this. I saw this quote the other day and it stuck with me ever since. A man or woman not working on their body is the equivalent to a mechanic not working or enhancing his tools. This is the vessel. I love this quote from Arnold Schwarzenegger. A strong body houses a strong mind. They go together. So I would love to hear some examples of some things that you guys are currently doing in your morning routine to contribute to health. And this doesn't have to be bodybuilding. This can be any form, right? So what are some ways, guys, that you currently contribute to your health in the morning? Nobody does? Okay.
I think like maybe like fasting is good for the health. I think moving around, like I try to get like sunlight early in the morning, as well as like hydrating my body, I think is very important. And then potentially moving around and working out too.
Love it. Love it. And I'll comment on these at the end. Anybody else? Any other health things that you dedicate time to?
So specifically and I like what Jack just said about moving around. Specifically here in New York, we have a walking buddy, and it's the thing that we do first thing. We'll walk for maybe an hour and a half, first thing in the morning. So we'll do anywhere from 1 mile to 3 miles, depending on how long we go. But that is fantastic. It gets us out, a little bit of nature here in New York, but the movement is incredible, and it's walking, and it's not, it's nice, fast paced, but it's not like. It's a great activity for health because, yeah,
absolutely. Anyone else have anything they want to share? How you contribute to health in the morning?
I'll share something. I have cut off a lot of bad things in the morning. I try to avoid breads. I mean, sometimes we'll have a salad and carrots and green beans for breakfast. So, I don't do the typical morning routine where it's cereal or bagels. If I have eggs, I won't get any, butter or oatmeal. So again, you can have choices to eat healthier, and I don't have like orange juice because that's too much sugar in it. So I have water, I'll have tea or something like that. So even by changing what you eat in the morning can also help out as well.
100%. Yeah, and so when we think about health, there are multiple components to this, but the four primary that stand out: water intake, diet, exercise, and sleep. And so all of these are contributing factors, but I want to go back on some of the things that you guys shared. Fasting is definitely a component. A lot of people look at this in different ways. There's different ratios, there's different time allotments, there's different intermittent fasting, for example. Like, there's so many different components here. As long as you have a plan, that's really what matters. You have a plan and you stay consistent. The sunlight, because this came up for both Bob and Jack, and so I want to touch on this one really quickly. Did you know that if you wake up in the morning and one of the first things you do is go outside and spend a little bit of time in the sunlight, specifically 10 minutes, according to scientific research, if you spend a minimum of 10 minutes every morning in the sunlight, it automatically reduces cortisol levels, which is linked to stress, and it increases your hormone production and output. So just by simply going outside, and you can drink your coffee outside in the morning. I did that this morning. Even though it was 28 degrees outside, I still went out and had the coffee outside because the sunset's gorgeous. You watch that sun come up, reduces cortisol levels, gets you in the right state of mind. You're ready for the day, And again, back to Matt's point, hey, there's no specific answer that's correct. I mean, at our peak, we would operate all four of these. We would have the water intake, right? We would have the good amount of sleep. We would eat the right food, and then we would get that exercise in. But you want to start by at least contributing to one of those if you're starting from bare minimum. And the water and diet side is so big. I think that one of the greatest things that helped me, and it helps a ton of people, you want to make sure you're drinking water. That's one of the first things you should be doing when you wake up. It's good for your brain. Your brain is 76% water, right? And so if you just went from 8 hours of no water intake and you go to, I'm going to say this, and this is a little bit gross, but if you pee and your urine is straight yellow, that means you are highly dehydrated. Your urine should be clear. And this is a really good distinction for those of you that are like kind of on the fence of this. When your urine is yellow, that symbolizes that it is being recycled through your kidneys, your intestines, through your system over and over again. You're just repurposing dirty water in your body. So you really do want to have clear urine, okay? But anyway, the point back to this again is that the health, it doesn't matter exactly how you contribute to it, as long as you are contributing to it every morning, right? The spirituality component. Go ahead, Bob.
Just again, preparing for the morning the night before, just like preparing to get 8 hours of sleep. I also put a huge glass of water on the bed the night before. So it's the first thing I do in the morning is drink it. As soon as I get up on my feet, I drink that water, and it's there and I put it there the night before, prepared for the morning. You're absolutely right. Water is essential.
That is a trigger, by the way. And so when we look at BJ Fogg's model for creating or changing habits, the biggest thing that has ever stood out to me on his model is triggers. How can you strategically set up visual, auditory, or kinesthetic triggers to get results? And just like Bob's sharing with everybody, the night before is how you prepare for the morning the next day. Because look, if I do all these things the night before, I don't even have to think about it in the morning. It's there. I just do it, right? When you have that glass of water on the nightstand next to you, you don't even have to think about it. You just turn over, you have the visual, you see it, and then you have the kinesthetic, you touch it, right? You grab the glass and you finish it. Boom, you're ready to go. So, by the way, guys, what you will notice, most people wait until a crisis occurs to make change. They wait until something catastrophic happens in our life, and then we make the change. Here's a perfect example, and this is a good segue into spirituality. The real component to spirituality is facing the fear of death. If you look from a psychological standpoint, that is the biggest burden for humanity, is realizing death, because we all face it. It's inescapable. It's a fear we all have to live through. What I see a lot of people, and this happens more and more and more as I age, more and more people are doing absolutely nothing about their spirituality until they get later into life, until they get into their 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And now that facing death is so much more relevant than it was in your 20s, 30s, 40s, now people are starting to embark on their spiritual journey. And then they're grasping, because you're doing this at the end of your days. A lot of what you'll notice about this entire list on morning routine, this is taking small baby steps to prepare before any of these catastrophes occur, right? The personal development, we operate here so that we can develop our skill set, so we never have to face the fear of poverty. Our skill set continues to increase, so we always are making more money. Our health is in good order, so we don't have to worry about missing days of work. Our spirituality is in order, so we don't have to worry about that fear of death. So my point is that when we focus on these morning routines, a lot of this is preparation so that we're not faced with a catastrophe. You know, people ask me all the time, they're like, hey, when's the last time you had a really bad day? I'm like, I couldn't tell you. It's been years. They're like, why? It's because I prepare by my morning routine. I focus on these little things every day, so that way the crisis is diverted. So when we talk about the spirituality, I'd love to hear some things that you guys are doing to contribute here. What are some spiritual components that you have in your morning routine right now? Does anybody meditate?
Have you ever heard of the Daily Stoic?
Oh yeah, Marcus Aurelius.
Yeah, all that kind of like I read that stuff, but I actually, this is something I've been thinking about a lot, like getting more in touch with spirituality. So I'd be happy to hear what you have, say about it. Anybody else as well. I think it's something that's been on my mind, about like purpose and like death and like just like all that. I think it's really interesting, and I want to kind of be in touch with that more. So if anybody has anything to share, or yourself, I think it's important to have a belief in whatever that may be. So I'm just curious here, honestly.
Absolutely. Well, I know Bob's got something on this.
Yeah, I do. Wow. I don't even know where to begin, except that, again, that routine of being with myself and by myself and closer to nature is where I begin my journey on spirituality. I was almost a deacon in the Catholic Church. That's how dedicated I was to religion and spirituality. Now that I have released a lot of that, I've gotten into spirituality is from within. And I love what Jack says. So many people come to me and they want to know what their purpose in life is. And I only remind them that their life is their purpose.
Mm-hmm. I like
There
that.
is no other purpose than to live.
Wow, I love that.
Isn't it? And then it's to live. It's Jack. We can let's have a conversation.
Yeah, I was gonna say, let's do it. I feel like this is happening.
It's happening. I feel it. I understand it, and I know it well. I'm serious.
Yeah.
So I don't know how. Let's figure something out right now. I'll put my calendar into the.
Yeah, please do. Thank you so much.
And I invite anybody else. But so really, it really starts with your life is your purpose. And then the next leap, which is so difficult, is that every desire you have is what needs to be brought into the world. And I don't mean want, I mean desire, passion, desire. And then I'll just leave it at this too, because I just worked with somebody and I said to him, he's very, very, an IBM executive, right? And I asked him, like, where do your thoughts come from? And his first answer was my brain. Then he stopped for a second. I could not believe what he said afterwards, because it's the magic answer. He said, my thoughts are the manifestation of the universe through me. So that's my spirituality. I connect to the universe, and everything I do is a manifestation, and it comes through my desires. The universe wants me to be here. That's my purpose. And my desires are to be realized. And so I also have another thing called, we usually do things so that we have things so that we be satisfied. So I'll do things like I'll go to college, I'll go to work, I'll do everything so I can have the car and I can have the house, and then I'll be satisfied. Well, you got to start with being satisfied and knowing what it is you want. And then from there, what do you do? Always do from your inner spirituality, your desires. And then you be, do, and then you'll have. If you start with your being, what you want to desire, what you desire, and do it, take action. So many people are manifestation. I'll just sit there and I'll wait for something to come. No, what is coming up for you? You got to take action. It's why we're here today. It's why we have Keegan in our life, to take action. Then you will have. So it's not doing, having, and then be happy. It's be happy, then do from there, and you will have everything you ever need. How's that for an answer?
I'm blown. Thank you, Bob.
I love it. I love it. So one thing to be really intentional and clear on here, guys, is that religion is not the same as spirituality. Religion can be a vessel to comprehend spirituality, but it's not the same thing as spirituality. We are spiritual beings. We all are, right? It's within us. So one little thing here, Jack, is that, man, the biggest thing is you got to start the journey. It's not, you're never just going to get started and have all the answers. Nobody does. That's not the point of it. The point of it is to shed light on the unknown, on the comprehending the metaphysical and understanding essentially what happens after death. And again, who's to tell you that you're right or wrong? Because you won't really know until you get to that place. It's not about what's right or wrong, because again, just like we talked about before, that's a human construct, right? We're talking about natural law now. And so they parallel the two. But anyway, the big thing is you want to get started on that journey, and it's a progression. It is, an everlasting evolution for you. So, and Bob also touched on the fact of gratitude. It's like, well, so many people are like, oh, well, when I get this, then I'll be happy. When I understand this, then I'll be happy. The destination is not the end result. It's who you become through the process, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so part of that is the gratitude element, is how can you, I heard it put like this: how can you appreciate the mansion if you can't appreciate the shack? If you have no appreciation for a small house that you're currently in, and you just desire and want and need, what makes you think that when you get the mansion, you're going to be satisfied? Because as soon as you get to the mansion, then you're going to want a bigger house. Again, it's not the end result. It's who you become through that process. I feel like Matt had something to share here.
Well, I mean, I believe that you have to be humble for what you have. And too many people take who they are or what others give to them for granted or for weakness, or to think you're entitled and privileged. Nobody owes you a goddamn thing in this world. And for, perfect example, like the house I'm in, it may not be, stellar, but it's a roof over my head. And more importantly, it saved me from when my rent was going up like an 80-year-old on Viagra. So at least to have that luxury of knowing somebody who had a home for me to live in when I needed it the most is definitely a blessing in disguise. So I'm very grateful and humble, and any other modest adjectives you could think about when it comes to that situation. So it's good to dream. It's good to, contemplate, the what if, but also realize, what you have and who you have, and don't take that for granted, especially if it's quality and not quantity.
I love it, guys. So I'm real curious. When you look at those categories, specifically the personal development, the spirituality, and health, what stands out to you guys about those? What stands out about those categories?
They're all different, but in a positive way.
Okay. What else?
Well, it could be achieved, I don't know, differently.
Yeah. No, I think we're on the same note here, Jack.
Yeah.
I saw that the last three were connected: health, spirituality, and what was the third? health, spiritual. Those three were
Personal
connected, but the other one is by itself, right?
The wake up time.
Yeah, wake up time, right? So as I don't know, the other three kind of go hand in hand, right? When you're healthy, you could be more spiritual, you could be more productive. When you're more productive, you can be more healthy, blah, 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 blah. Those three are those, there's a triad there and a balance. But wake up time, where'd that come from? Like, where did that, that's just waking up. It's not the wake up time, but it's really it's what I get out of it is really what do you do with that time? Which one of those three things is most important to me? And I do that first. That's how I got that. Because it seemed like a little odd out there. Wake up time and spirituality. Spirituality, health, and personal development, I can see how they all three connected. And so now I'm thinking that health is my most important thing right now. And that's what I really need to concentrate on at the beginning of the day.
I love it. What else, guys? I'm Ash, Matt, Steve. I'm curious if you have any thoughts, takeaways, or viewpoints on those categories specifically. What stands out about them?
I would say that they are all things that we have the power to take action on, like, take control in those areas.
You're spot on. Totally within our control. Here's another thing about them. Go ahead, Matt, if you have something here.
Well, I mean, I'm basically on a big epiphany of personal development. And as I say, I'm under kosher construction. So I believe it's true, and it is kosher. So every day I have I make a summary of my day. Basically my I guess assertions, I mean, for lack of a better word, where I say, okay, what transpired during the day, what didn't transpire, what was positive, what was negative, what needs improvement on, and then you take that experience, time, energy, what have you, and you move it on to the next day. So it's almost like Matt moving mojo. Well, I like that one. So that's kind of my thing is that if you can't find anybody else, at least find yourself. And so at least be the best version of yourself to other people, and realize that you're always a work in progress, and accentuate the positives, but also work on, whatever negatives you have as well.
Yeah, a lot of great points there. By the way, Matt, you touch on reflection a lot. Reflection is part of personal development, unquestionably, definitely a part of personal development. So, and of course, guys, this isn't limited to just the morning. I know this is titled morning routine, but the reason for that and the point behind it is the fact that when we look at these three categories, health, personal development, and spirituality, directly, they don't necessarily affect anybody else. These are lifestyles or lifestyle components that we want to live by. For example, if somebody wants to be in great shape, you can't just go to the gym once a month and expect to get the results. That's not how it works. It's a lifestyle, right? This is not a day-to-day thing. This is an everyday. It's a part of your identity. It should be a very part of your fiber in your being. And so when we think about, and you all had really great points here, right? It's almost like this is the place where we selfishly spend our time, energy, and effort so that it leads to the impact of other people. But we have to selfishly protect this morning routine and time so that we can lead to affecting other people and impacting their lives. And again, it's about the lifestyle. It's not about doing it once here or there. It's about consistently doing it. Are you consistently reading? Are you consistently monitoring your sleep and exercise and your water intake and diet? These have to be an ongoing part of your identity. And that's what you got to understand. And so most people, where they get caught up is they don't even know how these categories fit into their life. But like Bob alluded to earlier, all three of these are connected. And not only are they connected, but they directly lead to the categories that do impact other people. How? When you personally develop yourself, when you read, when you increase your skill set and your knowledge, you go into the workplace and you provide a better culture. You provide better answers. you support somebody, you listen better. You know, these are all directly related to that personal development. So although it's selfish of us to protect that time in the morning, we do it, back to Jack's point, because it's part of the bigger purpose. It's part of our impact as humans. You know, it doesn't really matter what you believe in, religion or spirituality or meditation or karma or destiny or your gut. We're all connected in some way, right? We're all connected in some form or fashion. And so when we selfishly protect this morning time, it allows us to impact other people at a much deeper root and deeper element. So, and back to Ashley's point is all of these things are within our control. We have to see how this impacts the bigger picture. How does me journaling this morning or reflecting at night, how does this impact my business on a greater scale? You know, how does it impact my relationships on a greater scale? How does my health? By the way, the health is a huge part, because guess what? If you don't protect your health throughout your years, guess what? When you get to the older years, when your family needs you and relies on you and depends on you, you're not going to be around because you drank that soda every single day for 30 years. Because you didn't go to the gym at all for 20 years. So these are all connected. So we want to selfishly protect the morning routine because we know that this impacts everything else on a greater scale. Any last minute thoughts or questions here, guys?
Just one quickly, they are all free. We don't have to pay for anything for any one of these things to improve our life. Even the health, we could just do it on our own. That's the other thing that hit me. After Ashley said that they're all within our control, they're also all free. I don't have to pay for this. As a matter of fact, you can't pay for somebody. You can't pay somebody else to do all these things for you.
100% right. You know, and that goes, I'm gonna butcher this one. I don't remember it word for word, but there's another Arnold Schwarzenegger quote here about health, and to Bob's point, and it's something along the lines of somebody that has good physique, you can't steal that, you can't buy that. It's a representation of discipline and tenacity. It's repeated over and over and over again to earn that. And that's the point, right? These things are all free. Yes, we may pay for the book, or we may pay for the course or the gym membership, but we have to show up and do the work. That small fee, that $20 for a book, that $30 for a gym membership, that's very insignificant in the outcome that we produce by doing those things. So incredible stuff, guys. Thank you all so much for your time. I know that this has been a good start to the Tuesday. Let's keep this momentum going and have an amazing week. Love you guys. If you need anything else, let me know.
Thank you, Keith. Appreciate you. Thank you, everybody.
Bye, guys.
Awesome.